Okay, welcome to the laundry room darkroom sessions. This is an exercise that I've been doing where I once a week or so make prints inside my laundry room. As you can see here, I'm backed all the way up in the corner. There's the washer and the dryer, and on top of them I have my developer set up, my stop bath, and my fixer. And then right outside this door the bathroom where I can wash. So this is black and white film, and then in here the setup that I'm using basically is a little roll cart on wheels, a little B22 condenser enlarger, and I've got set up here a little post that I can mount the camera to so that you can see what I'm doing when I make the prints. Today's prints are essentially, or today's print, basically I'm only going to print one thing today because it's already going on 10:30, so I can really only get one print done. So what I've been doing is once a week is I have a bunch of contact prints that I made of negatives that I've developed over the last 2-3 years that I've been meaning to print. And so on this particular contact print, this guy here is the one that has been selected for an 8x10. So this was shot on a 120 film camera, 6x9. So we're not going to be able to get the full 6x9, but there's a bunch of empty space here, so I think I'm going to do an 8x10 of this part here. I've got the negative right there. You can actually see that. Yep. And so we'll get this mounted up. Even though this enlarger is only technically a 6x6 enlarger, I've got a negative carrier that is a 6x7, which is pretty close to what you can get. I'm just going to pull this out here. Pretty close to what you can get with a 8x10 sheet of paper. So I'm going to put it in backwards here, or upside down, whatever you want to call it, so that it displays the correct way. And effectively what we're going to do is we're going to do that, like so. Yeah, I think I can get an 8x10. Take my little brush, make sure I'm appropriately brushing it just to get the dust and stuff off. And then we're going to put it here in the negative carrier. So what you see there, got it mounted in the negative carrier. The next step is going to be let's see if I can get this adjusted right. The next step is going to be sizing it for my 8x10 sheet and getting it in focus. So we're going to use we're going to start with a number 2 filter. We're going to do, this is and we're going to be using Ilford's new 8x10 multi-grade RC Pearl. For some of the larger prints, I've been working through this box of 11x14 I have a newer box of the multi-grade 5, but I want to finish this box up first. So anyway, so first things first, we're going to see if this works. Oh, the lens I'm using is a 75mm Nikon lens. Typically, I open it all the way up to f2.8 for focusing, like so. Ooh, wow, you can actually see that really good. Okay, so we're gonna take our easel here, and I need to size this appropriately. Okay. Yeah, so what we want to do is try to get this about like so. And we're going to use our grain focuser here in a minute, but right now I'm just trying to get it sized. You'll notice here, if you can see that, yeah, here we've got the corner's not square. This is the beauty of using the full the full size of the light source with the larger hole in the negative carriers. It gives you a lot more room to position. So right now the lens is open all the way up to f2.8, so I can see what I'm doing, and I can get this, sized. I want to make sure that this corner is not cutting off there, so I do need to position the easel to kind of cut that off a little bit, and I want to make sure I get his full head in there. So really this is just, tuning this a little bit. I think I need to make this a little bit smaller, because his hand's getting cut off down here, and I don't want that. So we're just going to shrink him down, just to move the head down just a little bit to kind of get that in there like that. Okay. All right. So let me just lock down the head on this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use our grain focuser to get some fine-tune our grain here just a little. This is the tricky part. Okay, that is it. All right. So now, typically when I make prints, I like to print in the F11 range. Normally, let me put the filter back in, and I always start with a grade 2 filter. These negatives, this was before I did a lot of my standardization of how I do my development. So oftentimes what I'll do is, let me just take this off here again so you can see. Oftentimes what I'll do on my timer, so I like to be between the 10 and 20 second range on my exposures. So oftentimes I'll just start at 10 seconds like that. And then if I need to add time, I just flip the switch over and add it in 1 second bursts. Typically, for something like this, looking at the negative, what's on there when you've got this, right? Typically, when I'm looking at this is the darkest part here. There's some darkness here, right? But this is his light hair. You can see there is actually detail there. Same thing over here. There's detail there. but this is going to be the widest part, so really I want to get the time where this area here actually does have tone and comes off of paper white, and then from there it's just a matter of adjusting the contrast, either grade 2 to grade 2.5 if this is not very black, to maybe a grade 1.5 or a grade 1 if this area here is pushing to black, or this area here is pushing to black, and I'm losing all my detail and tone there. But we'll find that out when we start making the print. So what I am going to do is, I need to set this time here real quick. Actually, we're just going to do 3-second bursts. 2, 3. Okay. Alright, so we're going to do a contact sheet, 3-second bursts, or I'm sorry, a test strip, 3-second bursts. I'm hoping usually I only run one safe light, but one's not bright enough for video, so I'm hoping that I don't fog the paper so much. I want one sheet. Come on. Okay, so we're going to lift this up. We're going to put this in here. And then I'm going to take this board, like so. We're going to use this to expose. And we're at F11. Good. So that's 3 seconds. 6 seconds. 9 seconds. 12 seconds. This is getting cut off here. I might have to do something about that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do something about that. Okay. But this will give me an idea of what we're going to get. Alright. And I just dropped it on the floor. This is what happens when you're in a tiny, tiny little space. Okay, we are in the wash. Let me grab this here. This is what happens when you're in a tiny, tiny little space. Okay, I'm not sure you'll be able to see this or not. 2, 3, it's starting to come in. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, ooh, that's dark, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, that's almost too dark. I don't know what's going on with that. Put it in the stop. Here we go. Put it in the stop. Alright. Good enough. Put it in the fix. I forgot to grab my tongs, so don't try this at home, whatever you do. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so we've fixed long enough. I can turn on the lights. And yeah, that is way too dark. So we've got 3, 6, 9. I'm going to have to step this down. All right. Okay. So let me make some adjustments. I'm going to stop the recording here real quick, and then I'll be back in just a second. Alright, welcome back. So I figured out what the issue is. I accidentally had the timer on 36 seconds and not 16 seconds. So we were getting basically just over twice as much exposure as we were supposed to. So I fixed that, and we're going to do one more. This should be right on the money, because basically at F11, 3 seconds was 3 seconds was not enough light. 6 seconds was too much light. So I figure 4 seconds is about right, maybe 5 seconds. That'll put us, so basically, and then if I dial it down to F22 from F11, that puts me at 4, 8, 16 seconds. So that's what I was looking to get, was 16 seconds. And then we can increase the time from there if we need to. But right now we're just going to do one print, one full sheet. This is what happens when you try to run a camera and record and print at the same time. So anyway, here we go. 16 seconds. I thought the other one was a little long when I was looking at it while it was exposing. I was like, this seems a lot longer than 16 seconds. Well, that's because it was. Alright, so we'll do one more dev stop fix, and then we'll take a look at it then. Okay, that is a start. Totally losing detail there. So grade 2 is a little more contrast than what we really want. So we're gonna run this again. I'm gonna switch the filters out. I think I'm just gonna go to grade 1 and see this in here, see what that gives us. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna wash this and then put the grade 1 in, keep it at 16 seconds, and we'll see what the next one looks like. Okay, so this is the grade 1 print at 16 seconds. At the end I'll do a comparison. Quite a bit more of the shadow detail here is showing up. I don't know if you can see it here, but just looking at it, it's significantly better. We're still losing a little bit of detail here in the shirt, but oops, hang on a second. That's not what I meant to do. We're still losing a little bit of detail in the back of his shirt. I might do a split print just to see, and the hair here is a little bit, but in all honesty, this is a picture of my oldest son. His skin tone here is just about right. I mean, I wouldn't want it any darker, but I also wouldn't really want it any lighter, and that's really the important part, is his face. I know just looking at the photo that's gonna, the sun is shining on his back, so you don't typically expect to see detail there. And this is the shadow side of his hair, so you don't always also necessarily expect to see detail there either. So overall, without doing any dodging, burning, or anything like that, or a split grade print, this looks pretty good. I might just do one print at grade 00 just to see at like 20 seconds. I'd have to work out the timing. Yeah, it'd have to be like 20 seconds from the 16 seconds, because if I did 4.5, that would be 4.5, 9, 18. That would be 18 seconds, would basically give us right between the 3 and the 6 seconds. So the 6 seconds is too much. I suppose we could do one at 18 seconds instead of 16 seconds. I don't think it's going to give us anything here, and it's just going to make these go darker unless I go to like a grade half or grade 0, which I don't really want to do. Typically on this particular negative, I believe this was 400 TX and it was in D76 1:1. I don't remember how long I did it for, but this roll in particular was back before I was being, particularly conscious about how much contrast I was developing into the negative. So I'm not surprised in the least that it's a grade 0. Particularly on a condenser enlarger, which the B22 is a condenser enlarger. You typically have to print at a much lower grade just to get the contrast in check. But at any rate, we'll wash this and then I'll just do a comparison to see what it gives us, because we're already basically running up at 11:30 and I still need to clean up. So I typically, on these laundry room, darkroom sessions, I typically don't try to do more than one print at a time, and a lot of times by the time I get everything set up and then get the prints done and get them washed and get them set up to where I can actually look at them, I typically only get one per session anyway. So at any rate, let me go get all that sorted out, and then we'll be back with a review of the prints that were made. Alright, so let's review what we did. So we started off here at F11, did our test strip. This is 3 seconds with a grade 2, 3 seconds, 6 seconds. 6 seconds is too dark. So I split the difference. Technically we could have done 4.5 seconds, but I just figured 4 would make it easier. And then to get my exposure time up to the 10 to 20 second range, I turned the aperture on the enlarger lens down to f22. So we went from f11 to f16, which would give us 8 seconds, to f22, which would give us 16 seconds. So then the next print that I did, I dialed the seconds out to 6, but I forgot to turn it down from 3 to 1. So this was 36 seconds, a little over twice as much as exposure as we needed. This was a total mistake print. So let's take that and throw it away. We fixed the problem and went to 16 seconds at f22, and that gave us this print here. Now this print, it's actually passable, but we're losing all of our detail here, and his face is just too dark, and we're losing some detail here. So I made the decision that there's too much contrast here. What we really need is to keep it at 16 seconds, but instead of a grade 2, we want to do a grade 1. And what that gave us was this. I mean, it's a marked difference when you just look at the two. There it is. There's his face on a grade 2. There's his face on a grade 1. Visibly, it is significantly a superior print. I don't do a lot of dodging and burning or any of that other stuff up here. This is still a little bit damp, so we still have a little bit of dry down that we're going to have to deal with. But up in here in this area, there's quite a bit more detail. It does not go quite as black. His face here in shadow is just about perfect, exposure wise. And down here, this also is just about perfect. I mean, grade 1 for this particular negative is on this enlarger is just about right. Now, the fact that we're losing detail here, frankly, I don't think the negative actually has that detail. I could, if I really wanted to, do a grade 00 and figure out what time I would have to get, you know, this off of paper white. But quite frankly, when you look here on the edge, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but you can in fact see we are getting off of paper white at 16 seconds. I can see the border there. So I'm not too concerned about this. Again, I very much doubt that I would be able to pull any detail in there at all. So I'm totally okay with that because the sun is hitting there anyway. The only thing I really care about more than anything is, you know, the shadow side. I could potentially try to get a little more detail out of his hair, because when you look at the negative on the baseboard, there is detail there. But grade 1, you know, I'm pretty happy with where his face is, and I don't, like I said, I don't really do a lot of dodging and burning or anything like that. The way I see it is, you know, you're going to have every image, you're going to have parts of the image that go to white and go to black. You know, that's just the nature of it. As long as the important part of the image, which in this case is his face, looks good and has plenty of detail and isn't too dark and isn't too light, that's all I really care about. At any rate, that is this darkroom session of the laundry darkroom, and hopefully we'll be doing this every week, where I'll pick a negative out of my giant stack of negatives and make a print out of one of them. So I'll see you on the next one.